Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clinical Marketer Podcast. We have an incredibly special episode for you today. Today, we got Dana Derricks, one of the top entrepreneurs and marketers in the world at this time. He's the premier go-to person on the topic of Dream 100 and relationship marketing. The guy also has written, 9, 10 books now, Dana?
12, but yeah.
12 books?
Like 3 good ones.
Yeah, so some of you might have already heard of him. The Dream 100 book, The Truth About Business, How to Sell High-Ticket Books. I mean, some of his books he's literally sold for, I think, over $2,000. I mean, this guy is the real deal. He's made $1 million in every single type of industry there is. I think it's books, info products, coaching, e-com. Am I missing anything there, Dana?
Services.
Yeah, the guy is absolutely legit. He also happens to be a great mentor and friend of mine, and we are beyond lucky to be here today. So definitely, this is going to be an episode where you want to pull out your notes because we're going to be talking a lot about, in a time right now where paid advertising and traditional means of marketing, there isn't a lot of certainty there. Building relationships are more important now than ever. So we brought Dana in here today to teach us kind of what the foundations of this concept called the Dream 100 are and how you can implement it within your practice to continue to grow without paid ads or relying on sucking up to physicians or any of the other traditional boots on the ground marketing tactics. So Dana, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks, man. I'm so excited to be here, and I think I need to hang out with Jordan and bring him around more because that was a great introduction. I need more of that.
Well, I'll come up and hang out at the shop sometime soon. We'll make that happen. So, Dana, for those who are listening who aren't familiar with your Dream 100 book or the concept at all, could you just kind of quickly explain what the Dream 100 is and what it is not?
Yeah. So, if you're completely unique to you is the phrase Dream 100. Basically, it's being intentional about the other people that you surround yourself with and you work with and you network with. So it's kind of like intentional networking. And the whole point of it is it's a value exchange with other humans that can help you get what you want. And then in turn, you help them get what they want. And it's an ongoing thing that hopefully never ends. And it's a win-win all the way around. And what it isn't, that a lot of people have a misconception of, is they think it's some sort of like it's affiliate marketing or it's networking or it's saying hi to people or all of that. It's really not. It's an intentional thing that's calculated and that produces a huge ROI. Also, what it's not, I should add to the list, is it's not one-off stuff or it's not asking people for stuff. It's a value exchange. Okay. So it starts with value and then the value is hopefully returned. And it's all calculated and very intentional.
Excellent. So, I mean, thanks for kind of explaining that. And I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh, I've Dream 100 before. I've dropped off, fruit baskets or asked people to refer to me before. Can you give almost like a detailed explanation of like what a Dream 100 tactic might look like versus what people are used to, which is just dropping off brochures and gift baskets and kind of kissing the butts of physicians in order to get referrals? Do you have any examples?
Yeah. So examples relevant to you guys, it's not shaking hands with people. It's not joining Chamber of Commerce's. It's not doing what Jordan was saying, like dropping gift baskets. Like that's what everyone else does. That's networking. Okay. This is like identifying, let's say that, first of all, it starts with you. It starts with you reverse engineering your goals. So first of all, it's niching down. Like begin by niching down. I know Will and Jordan talk about this. So I'm literally vouching for that times a million. Okay. So once you're niched down, then you're figuring out, all right, who has already congregated my dream patient? Okay, so once you have figured out who it is that you serve, and you're very clear on that, which follow these guys, that's part of what they help you do. Now it's where are they already at? Okay, and even better, what has happened to them right before they need me? Okay. Or what are they buying right before they need me? Or what did they just do before they need me? Or where did they go before they needed me? Or what are they reading before they needed me? Right. So it's figuring that part out. And then it's going to the place that they've already gathered, or going to the person that they've already purchased from, or going to the place that they are subscribed to. Right. That is finding your Dream 100 targets. Because at the end of the day, yeah, it's great to go meet, another local business in town. But if they don't have like people that are your ideal patient, what's the point, right? It really doesn't help you, and it really is just kind of wasting time. So that's kind of more so along the lines of a practical example of what a Dream 100, target is.
Yeah. I love that, Dana, too, because I think oftentimes we get fixated on what's the like customer cycle of an existing customer. Like, what do they do in our process? But what about the life cycle of the human, right? The human that comes in before us and after us, where do they go to, and where are those relationships? And so I think of, if you work with youth athletes, like, where do they go play at? Like, where do they probably get injured at, where they're going before they come to see you? Like, that would be a great place to look at a relationship. Dana, I'd be super curious, what first got you into this? Like, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I grew up in Indiana and Iowa. I know Jordan's from Wisconsin. I know you're based in Wisconsin. I think maybe it's just a Midwest thing, like, hey, just be nice to people. And that always works out. But I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't even know how to be like nice to people, or how to do this. Where did all of this sort of start for you? I think maybe it might help people get context. Like, I doubt you just woke up one day and were like, yeah, I'm going to pick 100 people and go do this. What was the story for you that kind of got you into this?
Love it. Yeah, no, I think Midwest nice is a thing. I think that's why we love the Dream 100. I mean,
Yeah.
So for me personally, I read so I was listening to a podcast, and it was Russell Brunson. He said something about the Dream 100, and then I was like, oh, okay. And he talked about this guy named Chet Holmes. And
Yeah.
to my knowledge, Chet Holmes invented the phrase. I didn't invent it, but he did, I believe. And so I read his book, Ultimate Sales Machine, and he had one chapter on the Dream 100. And as I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a phrase for what I do, for what I've done my whole life. Like, it's not just like in business now. It's like, when I was a kid, I was like 14 years old, and I wanted to start I was selling stuff on eBay. And I don't know about you guys, I'm sure, especially if you grew up in rural Indiana or Iowa. Did you have dial-up internet growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Remember the ding dong dong, like the whole like screeching sounds before you could connect. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't compete on eBay if I got dial-up. Everybody else has high speed. So I Dream 100'd it. I didn't know it was Dream 100'ing, but I Dream 100'd it because I kept calling the phone company. Will you guys hook up high speed? Sorry, Dana, no. Sorry, Dana, no. So I'm like, finally, I'm like, what will it take to get you guys hook up high speed? And they're like, or why won't you do it? They're like, well, there's just not enough demand in your area. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. So I wrote a list of 13 of my neighbors. I got on my bike and I biked to all of their houses and asked them, hey, would you sign up for high-speed internet if it was offered? And I think 12 out of 13 said yes. The 13th said yes, but he also was an old farmer, and he asked me what the internet was. So I was like, maybe you shouldn't get it. So anyway, I call back the phone company, and I say, hey, I got 12 plus myself. We got 13 people ready for this high-speed internet. And they're like, okay. A month later, we had, DSL internet. So that was Dream 100 before I even knew what it was. But fast forward to now in my business, after reading that chapter on it, I'm like, okay, I gotta find more. This is too good. I need to know more. And I looked and scoured and searched, and there was nothing. There was nothing. There wasn't any books on it. There weren't any courses, nothing. So I created it all. That's why I wrote the Dream 100 book trilogy, plus all the other stuff I've built, because it wasn't there. And that's just really all the lessons that I have in my last 6 years of kind of perfecting this. So that's how I got here, I suppose.
I love it. And I think, so first off, just it's such a cool story. I think what stuck out to me, Dana, is one, you actually were intentional. So just like you said, you're intentional about who can help me get what I want, which at the time was high-speed internet. And I think sometimes we think, well, I got to go get in touch with AT&T or Verizon. Oh my gosh, that's a monumental task. But you just listened to what they said was, hey, if you can get enough demand, okay, well, let me go find the people who could agree to this. And I guess, one, if you're listening to this and you haven't read the Dream 100 book, you got to go read it by Dana. It's amazing. But Dana, I think what I've learned in our business is we get taught nothing about sales in healthcare. we get taught, hey, you plug into a job and the hospital system will send you people. Don't worry about ever having to go knock on someone's door and ask them if they want high-speed internet access. And I think in this world of digital and everything's going digital and online, which of course we love and are huge fans of, that there's still this huge opportunity in actually communicating with another human being and going and talking with them. And I guess I was just curious, young Dana at 14, like, was there any hesitancy to go knock on doors? Do you feel like that was something you've worked on over time to put yourself out there? I think I think from our point of view so I'm a physical therapist, and my brain is conditioned now to go, if I don't get an A or above, that's a failure in life. But in business, no one's going to come give you an A. I'm just curious how you developed that ability to put yourself out there. If it's natural, if you've worked on it, how you help some of your students get over the fear of like, what if they say no? What if they don't respond?
Oh man, such a good question. So I don't think that comes naturally for people because we're wired to be safe. We're wired to live in a cave and not get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So some are better than others, but so don't feel bad if you've ever felt afraid of doing something. That's normal. We all do. For me, it's always been a matter of what do I want worse? Do I want to be comfortable and not go get told no by my neighbors, or do I want high-speed internet so I can sell on eBay? So I just made a conscious decision, like, I'll take the heat, I'll take the criticism, I'll get 13 no's, and at least I can go to bed knowing I tried. It's the same thing for you guys out there that are thinking about, maybe you've never you're scared to post on Facebook because neighbors or friends or family will see it and think, that you're, I don't know, obnoxious, or that, you're annoying. Okay, well, what's worse? Do you want your business to be around, or are you like, is that more important to look to be cool, yet behind the scenes your business isn't doing well, which isn't cool? Or do you want to put yourself out there and maybe a couple people will be offended or think you're uncool or annoying or whatever, but at least your business is doing well and you're able to help people, right? It's stuff like that. You just have to weigh out, like, what's the actual worst case scenario? And almost always not doing it is worse than doing it and failing. Almost always.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want people to hear that from someone who's, at the top of their game. Cause I think we run into, Jordan and I, people, they come to us for tactics. We talk about tactics all day, but I still feel like that is the number one thing that keeps people from even being able to apply tactics, is that just fear of like, but what if someone says no? What if they don't like me? And I know it's very human. So I just wanted to see that somebody else who's on top of the game, it's not like you were just born, hey, yeah, of course that's what I'm going to do.
And
so,
and guys,
just thank you for that answer.
Yeah. And like, think of it this way, like, seriously, first of all, I give you permission to do whatever it is you need to do. Like, I give you permission. Okay. It's whatever it is. It's probably not illegal that you're doing. So just do it. Like, no one's going to arrest you. Okay. And then second of all, think of this. The best baseball players on earth, when they go to the plate, how many times, the best ones out of 10, do they get a hit or get a good result? Like 3. The best ones, they have like a 300 batting average. Okay. What happens the other 7? Crappy stuff, right? Like, they're getting hit by pitches. They're striking out. They're, so geez, if just because you don't go 10 for 10 doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, so do it. Go to bat. It's another at bat if it fails.
Love
it. I love it. Well, I think one of my favorite lines that you've, I'm not sure if you said it to me during one of our sessions or if I read it. I think I read it in the Dream 100 book, actually. It's everyone respects persistence. Just like, if you fail, just keep going at it, because if you just keep going at it, even if you look dumb the first time, people respect that. That one always stuck with me.
Yeah, no, that I mean, that's probably the farmer in me, but I mean, like the cows, the good news is the cows don't really criticize you or, make fun of you. So you can screw up in front of the cows just fine, I guess. But yeah.
So what you're saying is you should get some cows or some goats and practice on them, and then go hit the rounds on the neighbors.
Yeah. Or at least have that as your fallback,
Luckily we don't have goats that are gonna send us bad tweets or post bad things about us. Dana, I'm super curious, because I think so. For people who don't understand, like, Dream 100 is being very intentional about maybe 100 people in your network or in your area or whatever field, industry that you want, intentionally picking them that you can build relationships with. I would be super curious, Dana, you talk about this a lot in the book, but just for people who maybe think, oh yeah, that's great. I'll just write a list out and then I'll write them a letter. Can you give us a sense of the level of research you go into understanding these people and the relationships? I get the sense it's not just, hey, found their name and they were on the Chamber of Commerce, I'm just going to send them like a letter. What kind of level of research are you going to understand these people?
I'm so glad you asked, because there's a lot of people out there who are very well intended. Some of them even will read my book and think they're an expert, and then they go and try and Dream 100 on their own. I'm on the receiving end of this a lot, by the way, so I know this, but they aren't Dream 100ing. What you kind of described is what I call it spam 100ing. Okay. Just sending a cold message to 100 people is spam 100ing. That's not Dream 100ing, right? So how do you Dream 100? Okay. What Will just suggested is exactly accurate. You have to do some research and you have to take some time and some thought and make personalization. So really the difference between spam 100ing and Dream 100ing is just personalization. That's it. Okay. So with that, what I do is I try to leverage my time and attention and resources appropriately. So not all your Dream 100 targets are created equally. And you don't know until you try, but you can kind of have a feeling or a sense that, maybe the new, smoothie shop could have some leads for you, but they don't get a lot of volume of traffic. They don't, whatever, that they may not pay off, but it's worth trying at least, versus, maybe an athletic complex that has tons of kids that, they could send kids your way and it'd be very valuable. Right. So I actually prioritize, and I separate it as A's, B's, and C's as far as the level. So I would say that the sports complex is an A level, and maybe the smoothie shop is a C level. Now that's not good, bad, right, wrong. There's pros and cons to each, but if you have a healthy mix of A, B's, and C's, then you can spend less time personalizing for the smoothie shops and more time personalizing in researching of the athletic complexes, right? And then the amount of resources you spend on each A, B's, and C's will be much different. So you can afford to spend a lot more on what you do as far as research, getting to know them, what their needs are, what their core values are, that type of thing. And then sending them gifts if that's something you want to do, or spending more time infiltrating their community, joining them. The best thing you can do is buy their thing, right? So joining their complex, if you have a child or something, or sponsoring them in some way, or doing something cool for them, or vice versa, you still can go get a smoothie and shake their hand and say hi or what have you. Or I guess, I don't know if we're shaking hands anymore, but you know what I mean? Give them the bow, but yeah, so like it's just different in terms of the amount of research and customization goes into it. Should be dependent on how you rank them and what the potential could be in terms of value for your side of the relationship.
Yeah, I love that, Dana. If we were to take the athletic complex, for example, do you mind just sort of letting our listeners in on maybe how your process starts then? Like, okay, I've narrowed in this athletic complex as an A target. What would Dana do as like his next steps? Is it scouring their website? Are you spending time looking, are you actually going to the physical place, hanging out there during that time? Like, how do you mentally prepare yourself to weigh up where you put your attention within that A level prospect, for example?
Yeah, good question. So some of the pros and cons to A's versus C's, for example, and why I like to have a diverse mix, and to make it easy math, just have a third of each. Third A's, third B's, third C's. There you go. And so for the C's, some of the pros are you're going to be able to get access to them easier, and they're more apt to say yes quicker, right? That's a pro as opposed to the big A's like the complex. However, a con would be they're a smaller payday, right? And they may not pay at all, which is it's part of the game. It's a numbers game. But as far as infiltrating the A's, the first and most important thing you can do to get them to Dream 100 back is buy all their stuff, or participate in all their stuff, or consume all their stuff. Okay, so if it's not practical to buy everything that they sell or buy things that they sell, find ways that you can still kind of advance what they're doing. So an example, so for, let's say the complex has something for kids ages 12 and up. I don't have a child that's 12 or older, so I couldn't, have a child participate, but maybe I could sponsor a kid that I, at church that couldn't afford it. Maybe I could pay for another kid to join. Or maybe I could sponsor the complex itself. Maybe I could donate t-shirts or, donate my time. Maybe I could go and volunteer there or somehow, get in without necessarily doing it exactly how they, they map it out. And then once you do, you do everything you can to be the star student. Okay. So if you're a star student, for example, Jordan did this with me. He bought all my stuff, essentially went through it all and became a star student of it. And I love to put Jordan in front of my audience that way. I've gotten to know Jordan really well. I've worked with him and his partner and his girlfriend, and gotten to hang out with them a bunch, and it's been amazing, right? And that would have never happened as quickly, at least, had it not been for Jordan going through and doing all the stuff I'm telling you to do, and getting in that way. So the more you can provide in terms of value, however creatively you can create with those A-level Dream 100 targets, the faster and better that Dream 100 relationship will be.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. I think that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I think we can even break that down a little bit further, because even when you were describing your story of when you were 14, just trying to get some high-speed internet, there was a pretty obvious framework that you pulled out. So you obviously were trying to get something that you wanted that you weren't able to get. And you just asked them what it is that you could do for them in order to get what you wanted, which I think if business owners just did that alone, that's already making you stand out from the hundreds of unsolicited asks that they probably get on a daily basis. Then what'd you do? So you asked, then you found out what they wanted, you actually went and got it. So then you delivered them a bunch of values. Basically, if you give me what you want, I got 13 customers here for you.
Exactly. And the shocking part is most times everyone else is too lazy to do it, because the phone company could have done that, right?
Yeah.
They're too lazy. So it's the same thing for, a lot of your Dream 100 targets. You can help them get what they want because they're just too lazy to get it themselves, or they may not know the right person to help them get it. So you don't know until you ask. Exactly what Jordan said.
That's so good. And I think, what are some, I think a lot of people struggle with, trying to help other people's businesses. Is there a certain way that you should approach people when you're Dream 100ing them? Once you already know that, they're a good target, how do you get to the point where you're actually where you're in a position where you can actually ask something of them?
Yeah. So I like to use dating analogies because they're just make it so easy to understand. So pretty much you lead with value. If you always lead with value, you can never go wrong. And part of that, I got to tell you. So, and by the way, my example, I use money, that was spending money. Jordan spent money with me. And if you don't have money, you have time. So go spend time, volunteer. I know people that, will go and they'll have a Dream 100 target that's hosting an event or something. And they'll just say, hey, can I come a day early and help you set up? Can I, help give tickets? Or can I set up chairs, or can I be a bouncer, whatever, right? Can I carry boxes, anything, right? And they get in that way. And it's the little things like that. So if you don't have money, you have time. I remember back in college, that's something that I did when I was broke. I felt so bad I couldn't help financially to some of these causes. So I went and volunteered, and it made me feel a lot better. So highly recommend that. And then as far as what to say and more so when to ask back, the dating analogy I like to use is, again, if you use value first, you should have given so much value and you should have so much goodwill built up that they should almost be asking you what they can do in return for you. If not, think of this test for the guys out there. It'll be a little bit easier, but everybody, I would not want to get on a knee and propose if I didn't know the gal was going to say yes, right? I don't want to be a marriage proposal fail video on YouTube. I don't. So it's the same thing for the Dream 100. It's if you aren't sure they're going to say yes to what you're about to ask for, you better go give more value. Okay. It's the same with dating. If you're not sure they're going to say yes, you better go on some more dates. You better give some more value, right? you better figure out what they want and need, and then go and figure out how to get that for them, whether that's through you or someone else. So that's another mistake. People try to get a marriage on the first date with the Dream 100. Not good. First of all, not a good conversion rate on that. Second of all, the people that do say yes, I don't think I'd want to marry them anyway, So with that being said, to me, it's just value. And then are they going to say yes? If not, more value. If yes, ask. And don't be afraid to ask.
So good. It's so good. It's so freaking important because, everyone, I'm sure you get them in your inbox all the time. People just like asking you to do stuff for you, saying with some crazy promise at the end of it. And I'd imagine that you don't entertain any of those whatsoever.
Oh no, not even close. And even worse, here's another example. And I don't think I know no one in your guys' world will ever have this issue, but the enemy of Dream 100ing is ego. Okay. So when you go about doing this stuff, guys, like you have to drop your ego and you have to have no expectation of them doing anything in return for you. Because here's the thing, it's not so much for them, it's for you. Because I'll tell you this, if you ever given a gift before to somebody and they didn't say thank you or they didn't bother to acknowledge it, that hurts. That is exhausting. I hate that. I still fight that. But here's how you here's how you combat that. You have no expectation of anything coming back. Okay. And then you'll never get burnt out. You will never get burnt out as long as you don't put a condition on your giving, okay, of your value. And another dating example, imagine a guy taking a girl out on a date and the whole time he's taking her to dinner or whatever. And the whole time his expectation is that she's going to go home with him after, right? That cheapens it. It's a condition and it cheapens it. She feels that. Even if he doesn't say it, she feels it. You're only taking me out to eat because you want to do that after. That's not a good way to do it. So if you take that expectation off the table completely, your Dream 100 recipient is going to want to do the thing that you want anyway, way more anyway, right? So drop the conditions or the expectations and you're going to do really well.
Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
Do you have so now that we've started the relationship, they love you, you've done all this amazing stuff for them. Well, how does asking work? What are the goals people are going for when they do Dream 100? And is there a sequential level of asks that you should have?
Yes. All right. Yes. Jordan's onto it. He's onto it. All right. So Dream 100ing isn't a one-time thing. Again, yeah. So is this what level are we PG-13?
Oh, we can go R. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. So the dating analogy again. What we don't want is one night stands. Okay. We don't want one-offs. We want marriages, where it's someone's going to stick with you through thick and thin. If somebody says something to you that, or attacks you or something, we've got those people standing up for us, right? If something happens, we need something, they're coming to us and helping us, right? We want marriages. We want lots of marriages. We want polygamous marriages. We don't want one night stands, right? So, as far as working with them over time, it's an ascension thing. Okay. So just like you ascend your patients, right? You start with something small or you get them in the door and then you get them onto ongoing things and, build the relationship. The same with the Dream 100. So you can start off really small with giving them a free visit, or if they know somebody, give them a free coupon for someone that they know personally, right? Give them a little something. And then after a while, give them a little bit more, maybe get more involved in their business and maybe buy their stuff. And then, as soon as, you keep going higher and higher in the value, exchange, then you can ask for the big ask, whatever that may be, whether that's having them send, all of their, customers or clients or patients your way, or, promoting you, or, whatever that is. I would go ahead and I would look at starting small, dating, then engagement, then marriage.
Love that. Dan, I'd be really, really curious. For me, just one more question I've got would be, if so, I think a lot of the people that listen to our show are either solopreneurs or have been in business for under like 2 or 3 years. There are certainly others, but I think a lot of them are still fairly new. How important would a Dream 100 strategy be to you in today's world if you had to start a new business like next week? Is it still, let's say with limited funds, we've got people who are like, I don't have the world's biggest marketing budget. Or even if they did, I'd still be really curious, like, where do you prioritize it? If like, hey, Dana, we got to start a business tomorrow. What are we looking at from a marketing standpoint? Where does the Dream 100 fall in for you if you're starting a new business tomorrow?
Man, it is literally the foundation of the business. So if you can start, so for those that have only been in this for a year or two or less even, you're at such an advantage. You're at such an advantage because you can create and build now with this strategy as the foundation. Russell Brunson, my mentor, who's also my number one Dream 100 target, and I drink this Kool-Aid because I went from a nobody in Wisconsin to getting him to write the foreword to my book, getting him to invite me to speak at his event, getting invited to his office for a private project, plus getting to go to his house, hang out with, getting to go to his house. Then him coming and speaking at my event, Dream 100 Con, like crazy, life-changing stuff. But he says, and he's got for those that don't know, he's got a close to $1 billion company that he's the CEO of or the founder of. And he says that it is the foundation to his company, the Dream 100. Like, it's not like his traffic strategy or his this or that. It's the foundation to his entire company. Okay. So if I learn from people way smarter than me. Okay. And I might not be any smarter than you guys. I probably am not, but Russell's smarter than us, probably in some ways. So learn it from him then, at least. But the point is I would go all in on the Dream 100 first. I would start my business, and especially if I don't have a lot of cash to spend, I don't want to waste that on ads. That's why I got into the Dream 100 was because I spent $1,000 on, I went to the bathroom and I accidentally pressed go on something. I came back and $1,000 of ad spend was gone and I got nothing to show for it. And I'm like, I'm done. That was the most expensive trip to the bathroom ever. Right? So I went all on it. But if I were to start over and let's say I was a PT person, I knew nobody, I would go and I would give people free lessons. If I knew how to, help someone's neck that was at a computer all day, I would go to the more affluent people in town because I know that I'll be able to, make some money quicker probably by helping them out and scratching their back, rubbing their neck, whatever. I would do a ton of free stuff for people. And it all comes back. Okay. As long as I put no condition on it again, and no expectation, it'll all come back, and it'll come back in ways I have no, like, even better than what I wanted. Right. So that's what I would do. I would go on a rampage of just giving, and people would be like, who the heck is this guy? Either he's like some madman that's going to, like, I don't know, go off and kill us all, or he's like the best person ever. Right. It's like Mr. Rogers. It's like too good to be true. And you're just kind of like, how can we, like, you know what I mean? Like, how can I help you? You've done so much for me. So that's what I would do. I'll just go all in.
Love it.
So good, man. So good. So just to kind of summarize everything that I've learned, and my biggest takeaways is you got to be willing to give a ton of value up front. To go off what you just said, keep giving until people notice, which is absolutely, freaking incredible. And building those foundational relationships, that Dream 100 should be where you should start as a business owner.
Amen.
And ascend all your relationships the same way you do with clients.
Absolutely. Can I tell you guys a secret for your group? All right. So Dream 100 I live on the internet. I'm in a pasture in real life, and then I'm on the internet for my business. Right. And so the people I interact with on a daily basis, these two guys right here who live in my world are the exception, but the majority of the people on the internet are out to get something for themselves. And that's about the extent of it. And I think we all kind of unspokenly know that. Again, these guys are the exception, which you guys know, but I'll tell you this. It's hard for them to Dream 100 the right way. It is, because it's not ingrained to them to help. It's not part of their MO. However, you guys out there that are actual boots on the ground, actually helping people, and that's why you sat through school so long, and that's why you're not giving up, and that's why you got into this. Dream 100 is going to be a cakewalk for you. I promise you, because you are instilled in your DNA to help people. That's all this is. It's intentionally helping people, and you're going to get helped a million times in the process. Just go all in on it.
I love that, man. I love essentially be a Midwesterner, you know, like behave like a Midwesterner. It's all you got to do. It comes back so easily. I thank you for sharing that, Dan. I think it's so right. And so many of our people are just naturally, they go into their profession, the career choice, because they just want to help people and they want to give back. So I think that's such a great point. Dana, if people want to find out more about you, they want to get your book, where should people go to learn about you, where they can find more information or read some of your books?
Yeah, I highly recommend starting with the Truth About Business book. So essentially I didn't intend for it, but it happened that way. It is written for right now, what we're all going through. It's literally exposing what the top 1% doesn't want you to know about running a business, how they run their business. A lot of the stuff you need to do in order to Dream 100 successfully is in this. I have a $1 digital copy available because I want to just help everybody. So I'm sure you guys can get a link over to that. That's a great starting place. Also, if you're ready to, rock and roll and jam with the Dream 100, highly recommend grabbing a copy of what they were describing earlier, the Dream 100 book. It'll kind of be your roadmap, your guide to kind of a little bit more of the how, because this sounds great, but it's like, all right, how do we actually sit down and do this stuff? It'll be in that book. And again, I think these guys will hook you up with a link, but those are the best two places to start. And if you want to enter into some of this craziness.
Yeah. Dana Derricks, everybody, man, thank you so much for being here and sharing all that knowledge. Hopefully everyone that's listening is really smart. They're going to go grab that book because I'm not kidding. I've read that book probably like 6 times. It's one of the most important books in my life. It definitely changed mine. And I don't even know if Will and I would have this podcast together if I hadn't consumed and put those strategies into action. So thanks, Dana. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
All right.